Here we are, Imperial Elegy. What have we done so far? We made it through the first turn, the 1850s, and nobody took anything incredibly aggressive. The Turks considered an attack on Egypt, but decided that it was too expensive to do in terms of stability and whatnot without using their home card, and they didn't select for that. People selected mainly to try to improve their industrialization, their stability, stuff like that, get themselves into a good position for later in the game. A couple of nice things. Rights were granted to the Hungarians. English got themselves in a bit of a trouble over in India, and they're going to have to try to cope with that. That's going to be a painful situation for them. Players picked their national goals. Some of them were relatively violent. The French, this is hidden from everyone else, but the French went for the Napoleonic ambitions. Germans went for unification. Russia is going for most territorial keys. That's going to put France and Russia on something of a collision course, I think. And yeah, not a whole hell of a lot else. We actually have an alliance, which is the Ottomans and the Russians are allied, which again feels a little unnatural, but it's the kind of thing that this alliance system can generate. Is you can get forced into alliances that you don't really see as advantageous for yourself. By the way, I'm not sure how many European keys the Turks have. As the sick man in Europe, I'm expecting them to lose quite a few. But I don't know what is defined as European keys. If we look at the Russian card that they picked, control of most European keys. This is main map, but I don't think it counts as Europe. So, of course, that makes things kind of weird, because what are the keys on the Arabian Peninsula? What do they count as? I don't know. And that's sort of the whole issue. Is I'm going to have to look up the definition for that, perhaps. But right now, it still felt like a good choice for the Russians. I feel like, again, chances are that the Ottomans are going to lose points, lose locations in Europe if they're in a challenge there. I'm expecting well, honestly, everybody's got about as many keys as the Russians do. So the Russians are going to have to gain something. And again, I don't know what counts as Europe. This doesn't matter. There are no keys there. But I think Russia will need to expand, or they will be tied for first as things stand right now, which is kind of cool. Nobody's got more than them at this point. The Germans, though, there's like 8 German keys total, which means if they gain a little bit more, they'll be up in there too. I don't know if there's 8. They currently have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ruh-roh. I thought there were 8 unified. Maybe they only have to hold 8. Control all German. Oh no. It's 2 victory points if you have 8 or more. It's all German home spaces, which I think is 9. So I don't know about that more. Maybe I'm missing something. So we said 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so it's 10. Fair enough. Historically, Germany got to their 10, so that's going to possibly put Russia and France on a collision course with Germany as well. All very interesting. And with Germany selected their unification. I don't know if they had to select it before everyone else made their choices. Yes, because they declared they were drawing it instead of going for secretly. Okay. This did not charge. Fuck. Okay. So I figured out and put a die on each person for the number of cards they're going to get. Yeah, you can add it up, but I like to deal them all at once. We once again have 2 people at 4. The Turks because of their dominance of the Balkans. And the English, India is no longer a bonus for them, but they increased their industry up to where they get a 4th card. Yeah, we reshuffled the deck, by the way. These cards, like, they're just weird, but they shuffle so nicely. So nicely. I want them to become the standard. Like, I don't know what they're made out of and how they work this way, but whoever is printing these cards for them, the company ought to. I don't know if they should keep it as a secret to themselves, but as a favor to gamers everywhere, these are the best that I've ever seen, and I think they should share who they're getting them from with other companies. Yeah, so I will deal out the cards. Then we get to the choice to throw a card out in exchange for stability. And in general, again, if you have a lousy hand, it seems worth doing. But people held on to cards. There's one reason not to hold on to cards, because you might be holding a good card. Like, you tend to want to hold a good card, and therefore you might not want to discard for stability if you get a shit hand otherwise. Last turn, I'm going to combine the prep and the dip phase. Why? Well, because I basically have to look at the cards, make a decision of which home card I want, and whether I want to drop a stability, and whether I have any kind of deal that I want to align with another player on. All of that seems to me to be the same thing. Something I don't want to break into different steps. So I'm going to try to do them all sort of in a combination. The English have a handful of interesting cards. Now, here's one of the problems with the way I'm doing things is you have to discard your random card before you make any diplomacy. So I have to make a decision whether the English want to discard a card for stability. It is one of their goals. I'm thinking I may want to, but I've got the sun never sets here. I'm probably going to do the non-stability version of it. So I think I'm actually going to discard a card before the alliance phase. Now, or diplomacy. I have really interesting diplomatic capabilities. A couple that impact the Austrians, the South German, the dual monarchy. They're both good cards to play for them. I've got some that are more annoying. I got this foreign investment card that I could play for the Turks. Just all kind of nice stuff. Now I have other things that are not necessarily good to play on other people. I generally don't like to play bad cards on people because it makes them pissed at you, and you're also giving up functionality. Like, this is a nasty card to play on the Turks, but it's a 3-point card. Unless the Turks are running away with the game and, you know, taking a couple of army steps away from them, which is what this does. Yes, I get to draw a replacement card, so maybe it's not that bad. What I was going to say is that costs them 2 points, and I'm throwing away a 3-point card. Sure, I might, the redraw might be good, but it might be bad, and I might just kind of break out, you know, losing a couple of points to hurt them a couple of points. It's a possibility. But I think I do want to do the stability check, stability gain. Even though I've got decent cards, I've also got shit cards. Special rules that I forgot about. Luckily, I drew it for the Brits. The dual monarchy card. We're going to have to give them a replacement for this. This was one of the two that I thought, oh, they'd want to play this. So this card says the Austrian-Hungarian Empire becomes... the Empire, Austria gains 1 stability, the Hungarians gain full citizenship. You know, I probably wouldn't have done Hungarian rights. I'm going to shift that to Czechs, just because I forgot that this is automatic. But also, the Hungarians gain full citizenship. Add to the Austrian player's hand as an extra card if not played on turn 1. You cannot pass with this card in your hand. So they get an extra card for that. It's really hard to remember all the features that are in place. Anyway. It doesn't really change any of my other decisions, but I wanted to look it over I don't remember why. Oh, because it had the you cannot discard this card, or you cannot pass with this card in your hand feature. Yeah. It almost intrinsically assures me that I cannot discard for stability, because I don't want to lose that card. It's a weird situation, because add to the Austrian player's hand as an extra card if not played on turn 1. I don't know what would happen if it did get lost. Would I get it back in my hand on another turn? I don't think so. I think it's a one-time thing. Where is it? Ah, I forgot this too. Fuck. Yeah. So, I gain an alliance with 2 minor powers of my choice that do not contain an opponent's diplomatic marker. I don't even know who I would have taken. Like, I spent points on Bavaria that I would not have done. Gosh. I have no idea what to do about this. It's just so hard to remember these national characteristics that pop in on a certain turn, even if it's the first turn. I'm throwing myself allies with Denmark and with Hanover. Just, you know, trying to catch up on that. Whatever. Remember, the English still have the South German Confederation card. Well, the powerful balance of power card, I'm allowed to add that with the British trade card. So the Austrians and English are coming to an agreement to each play the good card for the other person. Now, the English don't give up anything in a way, because we're getting replaced with that balance of power card for what we're playing out. So we're getting another 3-point card, whereas the Austrians are actually paying a point, but the Austrians are giving up a much less valuable card to them. So I think it balances out as an equal agreement. The Turks picked up, they got a bunch of cards, but they picked up this new administration. Draw 3 NG cards, secretly select one and return the other 2 to your deck. Then if you have 4, return 1 to the deck. I'm going to end up with 4 at the end of the game because of this. This is weird. Like, if this came in late, it would make sense. But right now, I think it just is like a huge advantage to get it this early. It sure looks like it. I can look that up in the... it's card 22, but nothing ever shows up in the player aid that seems to refine these, and that card didn't have any kind of errata on it. I don't think this is how it's intended. Here it says a new government gets elected and sets a new agenda for the nation. Mechanically, this is the only way to draw NGs outside the end phase. Okay, all sounds good so far. Like maybe I can get an extra one. But I mean, again, that's a huge advantage to have a 4th card. Changing NGs at the right time can be very advantageous. It's making it sound like it's one that I would switch. I don't think it's terribly worth it at this point, unless like I really dislike this Flashpoints one, which maybe I'm not thrilled with, but it's okay. Like I think you should always have to replace one of your old NG cards with it, or else discard one when you get your 4th one or whatever, because you're gonna get them on given turns. There are 3 turns where you get them. Over here, I guess, where they say NG on them. Well, that will add up to 4 total, you know, and if I do it any time before this, I'll end up with an extra one. So yeah, it's fucked up. I think we made all the agreements that we're going to make. We selected all the home cards. We're going into the action phase. I'm running low on battery, and I'm a little frustrated by that card, by the fuck-ups that I've had to make up for. Honestly, you know, some of these national characteristics are things that are kind of baked into the rules, and they make sense to me. They've got chits and whatnot. Some of them not so much, you know. They're just like, oh, you have to remember you have this, and they're fairly, you know, like things like the 2 different types of armies. Look, that's baked in here. I don't really need that. The jihad. Okay, I might forget that because that comes the Europeanization. That's baked in with the cards and whatnot. But then there's others, like the ability to grab this, like the initial 2 thingamapoppers that don't have anything aligned with them that I have to worry about, and it's just. And they're not mentioned on cards that I have or anything. There's nothing to remind me of them, essentially, except for by studying this thing. And yeah, you know, I fucked up the one very easily. Fucked up another one, which isn't on here, I think. I was looking for it. Which was the... see above your stability track. Or decrease stability. Okay, that I wouldn't remember either. But at least that's got a reminder. Okay, here it is. A compromise needed during the prep phase. That's where it was. But yeah, I mean, this is a massive information that you have to take in. And look, if you're playing a single nation, it's going to be easier, but it's also fairly likely that somebody who's new to the game and already worrying about all kind of other stuff isn't going to be focusing on what their nation can do specifically. You have the same problem, and here I stand, to be honest. Certain things like the papacy, and I think the French have sort of special tracks that like are very easy to forget about, but this mass of little special rules is much more problematic because everybody's got a pile of them, and most of them are actually aligned with things that help remind you of them somewhere else in the game. Like those tracks in Here I Stand. And obviously Virgin Queen has tons of stuff like that, but I don't know. Okay, Germany opens up by dropping an industry card in. Just, you know, non-committal. But Britain plays this South German Confederation as part of their agreement with the Austrians. Now, this actually has a prerequisite, playable only if Bavaria is independent and an Austrian ally. That happens to be the case, and we would have set that up anyhow with the two nations had we not, with the Metternich capability, but whatever. It's an expensive card to use. Now, what's weird about this one is it has the remove if played, or removed after play. It doesn't say anything about that here, but that shows that not all cards with that little black mark are going to say, and some of them say it no matter what. Some of them say it no matter what if you use a specific mechanism. You know, one of the choices. Some of them say it under certain conditions, whatever. It's very weird. All of them are marked with this. Anyway, what is also odd about this is the way it's worded. Austria gains control of Bavaria. Bavaria becomes Austrian home space. The Bavarian minor power ceases to exist. Now, there's no counter for this card that I'm aware of. And I guess I just have to remember. Because there's nothing to indicate that. Now, obviously, we get rid of this alliance for whatever that's worth and look for a control marker. Oh. Look back at those? Yeah. Okay. So now Bavaria is controlled. The minor ceases to exist, which gets rid of any Bavarian troops. That's a shame from my point of view as the Austrians. But you feel like it more heavily integrates the situation. And again, as an Austrian home space, it means that I can go to reconquer it from Germany later. And then I guess this just goes over there out of play. We're in somewhat of an interesting position. Part of me says, hey, play the National Railroad. It's a good way to delay things, get the industry card out there. That's an automatic industry play in that case. None of the other cards are all that appealing. But I have this. And I know the Germans picked unification. And Great War tensions are likely to go up if they're doing that with any seriousness, which leads me to want to play this. It would give me 2 army steps, declare war using the card CP. If I choose a conquest war aim, I can target up to 2 keys, and I can also target 2 different powers. However, if I do either, neutral powers can join the war against me. No one's aligned against me, but I would be facing this Russia-Turkish alliance. This can get me a stability. I could hold on to this card in the hopes of one of these others, but I see no reason that I'm likely to pull them. I don't think I'm able to play the same event twice in one turn. I seem to remember there was some... So like I couldn't play French Intervention and then do it again with this. So that's not appealing. So my goal is 4 European keys. One of them can be an alliance. Basically, I could try to make an alliance with Piedmont, or I could march into the Low Countries. Those are kind of the two options that I see doing. Marching into the Low Countries seems the better one, but that immediately puts me in a clash position with Britain. But I have some nastiness for Britain. First of all, they're facing that, which they have to deal with, and I have a follow-up for it to happen again, just to really piss the Brits off. So I think I'm going to hold off on the Italian ambitions and just fire off a war here. And that's going to cause me to have to look up a lot of stuff because the Brits don't have their balance of power card in hand. The French don't know that. So they will not be able to just jump in. And I probably assume that because of the problems that they're facing there. However, they do have a diplomacy, which means that they could support the war. So we're going to get into all kind of problems here that I have to look shit up on. But this is what I think we're doing. We may reveal this. Because it reduces my stability loss by 2. What's kind of weird is this has this control value, then it has a special ability if it's revealed, and then it has another different victory point value, and like this isn't really part of this victory point value. It's sort of just a nature of the card. I understand it's hard to apply everything. But yeah. And this should really be like 4/2 or something like that because it's got its options. There's a lot of them that have one value and a lesser value. The German unification is another one. Work our way through, and neutrals can join the war against me. Conquest. This is going to automatically increase the WT by 1. We're picking these 2 locations. Using that, our stability does not go down because of it. I think we're able to declare 2 defenders here. Yeah, 2 extra powers. This is special to this. And then we hit the alliance step, which is going to change things. They don't have this. Okay. I just attacked a minor. Or 2 minors. Attacking a non-player. Declaring war against a non-player power that has a player ally is treated as declaring war against that player. I do not have an ally there. I have a diplomacy, and that's it. Players cannot attack non-player powers that are allied with. Attack non-player powers. They have a diplomacy marker. Attack non-player powers allied with a player power containing a diplomacy marker. Okay. This is not an abandonment if they choose not to. If the attack non-player power does not have an ally, it will immediately try to find one. The Netherlands goes for the UK or Germany. And I'm guessing, yeah, Belgium's the same thing. Now, they're each, I think, going to be impacted by their own die roll. Is there any modifier for that diplomacy there? I'm a little confused by that. I don't see an indication there. The first player with the option to ally is the player who has diplomacy. Okay, so Britain has the first option to defend Belgium. And odd even for the Netherlands, for UK and Germany. Germany has the first option to declare for the Netherlands. This might have been what I would do anyway. The Brits might have refused to support the Netherlands in this. Britain does not like the idea of having to go to war with France. We can't afford to lose. I don't know which one becomes the primary belligerent. This is a weird situation because I'm able to attack two powers. They decide between them who the primary belligerent is. Okay. So we're at a hard decision step here. Both Germany and Britain have to decide if they want to support their ally. And, well, their call for help. If Germany refuses, Britain has the choice on both. Both are going to get an alliance out of this. They want this fight. I'm not tickled by it, but yeah. Well, we're going to see. We may lose India over this. We're hoping not to. We're hoping we have enough cards to handle things. Okay, so I think this is Germany's opportunity to do something kind of cool, which is to go to war with France. I think we're able to actually get Alsace-Lorraine if we win this war. Germany wants to be the primary belligerent, and that's the only way that they're willing to support the Netherlands. The Brits are willing to handle that. They do not want to see the Napoleon's legacy. This doesn't actually help the unification situation. So we're going to see alliances of Britain with Britain could get an alliance with both of them, which would give them the Low Countries counter. But they would probably lose a war against France. But Britain and Germany together might not. Worried I just dropped into a problem position here? France has a diplomacy marker here with an ally on the other side. These are the German ones with an ally on them. That's fine. I thought they were French for a moment there, because they're colored funny. Aha, here we go. No, those are Russian. I'm having trouble because of the blue underneath for the diplomacy markers. Ah, there they are. I was wondering where my fucking French diplomacies were. Okay, France just has a lot of diplomatic influence markers. Okay, fair enough. Oh boy, I'm out of battery. I gotta swap. All right. Now everybody's going to be allowed to play a card who's in this. The next thing we go to is the alliance step. Nobody's refusing to join the war. If joining a war could cause a player ally to break a truce, they must decline. Nobody's got a truce. Allied players can choose to join. They must play a card. So that means both Britain and Germany have to play a card. We don't know yet what that card is going to be. All minor allies in a unified Italy join the war at the primary belligerent's discretion. Well, obviously the Netherlands and Belgium are in the war. And neither one has any allies other than those. So, that's not going to be an issue. The defender... Okay, so we have to figure out what happens with the alliance track because everybody involved in this is neutral. And I'm not sure what's going to happen here. And by the way, like, because I'm choosing two, neutrals can join in, which means Austria could join in. These guys are going to join or be given the option to join. We may have those kind of options, that kind of many power war would result in a great war in Pax Britannica if everybody joins in. And yes, I've seen a great war, the second turn of Pax Britannica. Boy, the guy who was playing England, I told him, you basically can win, you can bully people around, all this kind of stuff. But you know, as long as you're kind of doing that, you're sure to win the game. And he just decided to go to war on turn two. And I don't know if I was France or Germany, but basically France and Germany decided to stop him. And it came down to a stalemate of a war. He almost lost the game, which is almost impossible for Britain to do in Pax Britannica. Anyway, dare I diverge because I'm trying to figure this out and I don't know where we are on this alliance situation. This isn't causing a shift. The defender shifts their alliance chit away from the attacker on the alliance track. (8.2). Okay, well, let's look at 8.2, see if that helps us. We're in a weird situation because I'm not sure Germany and Britain can both join the Triple Alliance, which would definitely cause France some grief. And they're not sure that that's the situation. 8.2. Alliance shift and declaration of war. Declaration of war causes the defending to shift away one space. If both powers are in neutral, the defender chooses which box to shift into. If a unified Italy is attacked by a neutral, no. Only 3 players can ever be in an alliance. When a defender is forced to shift after a declaration of war, the defender can shift into an alliance that already has 3. I'm not forced to here. Because in both cases, these guys want to join the war. So I think they put France into the Triple Alliance and Germany and England become Triple Entente. That doesn't change anything over there yet. Okay. So I think France is able to get the situation they wanted. They could either fight one power or if it was 2 powers, they're going to have to go into the Triple Entente. Okay. Initiative and war budget. The player who played the higher CP goes first. The German wins all ties, and the player with the higher industry. Okay. So I've got to decide what cards. The French are already determined. They played this. That's worth 3. I kind of don't want to keep these over here, but I think I have to. Now, Austria could join the war still because of this card. Neutrals are allowed to join. And France can ask can ask the Ottomans or Russia to join. I gotta think about these. So they won't be primary belligerents. And France wants its goals. So I don't think they're willing to give concessions away. But now that they see that Germany and Britain have joined the war and are going to try to make them pay, maybe they're willing to grant a concession to the Russians. And likewise, Germany, Austria is not going to join the Germans. That's for sure. They're positioned directly against them. Turkey has no one that they want to fight. So those two are going to be out. But Germany is allowed, I think, to call for them as allies. Starting with the attacker, they can ask their player allies to join the war. Germany is going to ask, France is starting with the French, they get to decide. I think of the Germans as the attackers, but no, it's France that's going bonsai here. So France would like to get their allies. The Russians aren't all that particularly excited about where they're sitting. Gets a lot of neutral influence, that's all. The Turks are in a committed alliance. We could basically force them into this, which means the Turks have to pay a card. Yeah, France is going to call on both their allies, mainly because they'd like Russia to join. Russia's not going to join, so Russia gets 5 of these. Turkey is going to join, but not very heavily. Turkey to join, they decided to play the American Civil War. The South rebels against the U.S. At the start of the end phase, you roll a die as CSA becomes independent. UK and France may add a positive DRM by placing diplomacy markers in and moving naval units to the south. That's a +1 DRM for each diplomacy marker and naval units in the south. Both UK and France can place a maximum of 1 in each. I don't see much reason for this. If the CSA gains independence, the player with the most counters in the south, I guess Navy and diplomacy markers, gains a permanent alliance with the CSA. This alliance also increases that player's colonial keys by 1. This is nice. Then if the CSA gained independence, give all powers that supported the CSA a -1 card marker for supporting a slave state. That might be worth it, especially this early. I take a penalty of a card. But again, that's Britain and France later. We're going to worry about that in a little bit. I don't know what I do about this. Yeah. I don't know what that's gonna cause. But they wanted to play this card because, well, it's a mandatory. They don't want to play... I mean, they could play the new administration, but it doesn't really matter. They want to get the mandatory out of their hand. They don't want to play the cheaper flank attack, which actually makes more sense, but they want to be able to beat this army more easily. Yeah, this is going to be a bloody turn. Europe is devolving into war. So we've got the war budget, but I've got to figure out the sequence of play here. Now that's going to be based on whoever played the biggest card. That's France. So let's look for... There's a war initiative, chits. But I don't know how to align all the others because there are so many powers in this war already. We have France and Turkey against Britain and Germany. Can't play a mandatory. Okay. So I'll have to pick a different card. I think I'll use the same logic. Actually, wouldn't hurt to play the mandatory here. But I'm going to play the... the new administration. I don't want to hold that card anyway, so it's the same amount of points. But I'm still trying to see the sequence here. Because everybody had to play a card. The maneuver step. Players take action in initiative order. Okay. I'm guessing initiative is completely based on the rules here and not that every other that it shows up in the Great War. So, what do we get here? Oh, fuck. Now I can't find it. Initiative. There we go. Wartime initiative is the order in which the players take. The player who played the higher CP goes first. The German wins ties. Then the higher indice, then they break ties. Mark the initiative by placing wartime initiatives. Okay. So yeah, I think everybody gets their own initiative space and there's no worry about interleaving. But this isn't Turkey's fight. It really isn't. If the refusing player isn't committed, they lose 1 stability and receive 10 neutral influence. Fuck it. We're not going in. So we need our cards to do what we want. We lose an initiative or a stability. Now, there's something interesting about that, isn't there? Wait, do they have it? Somebody has an instability situation, don't they? Here, no. It's the Austrians. Okay. Okay. I thought the Turks might have had it, and this is German unification. Okay. And we get 10 in the neutral. There's a plus 10 side, but it makes more sense. It's good that they have the 10 space because the 0 looks like it's not, you don't need to roll. Yeah, so we decided to say screw it to them. I think the Brits have a card about this, failed reform. Playable at the start of an OT player's impulse, including a wartime impulse. Yeah, I could really screw up the Turks, but I don't feel like that's of any real need. So that's going to be my order: France, Germany, Britain. It's okay, 2 are going to have to go after each other anyway. And now we hit the maneuver step. Germany gets a free thingy. Who else does? The French get to increase their war CP after calculated. So this actually is a 4 because it's the Empire. The English, they're the defender of a war. They can ask Allied players and neutral players to join. We asked the Austrians to join. They don't want to. They don't want to help the Germans here. The Germans get to conduct a free deploy reserves action. You got this initiative advantage. Now they say Germany's alliance always goes first, which makes me think that the Brits shouldn't have their own initiative. I don't know. Okay. So the Germans get to, and actually must go first. Now, you're able to pass. Jeez. I don't remember what allows you to pass. You can only pass if you have less than or equal to 2. I have less than or equal to 2. I have a line of communications because of this, German unification. Well, no, I have a territorial key, which means I can put my reserve there, but I don't know if I can move there. I don't think I can. I only have influence in Saxony. Oh, fuck. I only have influence in Saxony. Oh, yeah, I got Hanover here. No, that's an Austrian ally. Austria is not allied with us. I don't think I can deal with the I don't think I can deal with the French with Germany. The problem I have with this is, like during the Napoleonic Wars, all of those neutral states, you know, were accessible. But this isn't the Napoleonic Wars. And I'm not sure whether or not I can find, like, I don't know if there is a rule that allows me some sort of access here that I don't already have defined. Germans can definitely build an army here. The march capability does not allow me, as far as I can tell, to move through any of this other territory. I'm not allied with anything there. I could spend a CP to move the Dutch down to join me on a possible attack into Alsace-Lorraine. But I don't get this yet. I got to do the French first. The French are in a position where they have a single army that could attack, but I think I need to position myself first. Now, what's impressive about this is that I can occupy Westphalia and pretty much knock Germany out of the war. I'm going to leave this as it is. This is really bad for Germany, though. They should not have gotten into this war. I have no French allies. I get to move 2 spaces with any French unit by spending one of my war budget. And, well, with any French units. And I'm going to move into Westphalia. I'm going to move into Ile-de-France. Actually, I'm going to move up like this, because I can use support here. And I am going to pretty much stymie the Germans heavily with that. So that's the French move. Now the Germans don't get to use their capability anywhere terribly useful. We only have a 2-war budget, which means we can pass. I am going to build this. Not that it helps me, but it helps defend Berlin, whatever. And I'm going to pass for my action because I need the Brits to occupy the North Atlantic so that I can shift German troops into the Netherlands. That means the Brits have to take a naval move. And I'm allowed to shift one army with me. We are at war now. So I can go here, but I can move other boats around too. There's an interception chance. French don't want to intercept here, but they may want to intercept there. Naval interception. It's like a 5, but I don't know the modifiers. I might have an easier time finding it in here. Intercepting player has 3 or more friendly ports adjacent to the naval box. I have 2, Algeria and Provence. Piedmont is not allied yet. Where is this? Moving naval, no. Friendly naval units are already present, no. UK intercepting into the North Atlantic, nope. So I need a 5 to intercept that fleet. We get it. That gets us into a naval combat. The modifiers are equal. Neither side is low stability. 2 or more ports adjacent greater than your enemy. They both have 2 ports adjacent. So each roll a die. It's a tie. Both sides take +1 casualty. I think both fleets are sunk. Both sides are sunk, I guess. That reduces power projection? Maybe? Fuck, I don't remember power projection. Gotta look that up. Cannot be greater than the number of naval units they control multiplied by 2. Well, I don't know what that number is. 3, 4, it's like 8 for the Brits. I think we just sunk below that. We were at 9. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. That sounds like 8 points. So I think British power projection just went down. French power projection, they only have 1 fleet, so theirs is down. Yep. Okay. There was that. And the English could send another fleet down here. I don't know that the Western Med is particularly needed, so I'll send it into the North Atlantic instead. I was going to send it down for a better blockade. Okay, and I got my army in there. It's an elite army right now. I don't know what else I'm at. Where am I? Did the English spend a point? They did not spend their point of war budget that they had to spend for that. Oh, that puts me back to the French. I'm kind of exhausted at this point. But I want to get through the whole round, not just, yeah, I want to get through the war, but I also want to get through the round. Fuck. We don't have winters or anything. All these wars take place within a year. So that puts me back at the French. I can do land battle. How many land battles can I do? I can only do one. I'm going to run out of points. Oh, the English get to land their force in Belgium because it's free to enter the port. I don't want to send the ships there. I'm going to attack into Belgium. I'm just checking to see if I have some kind of bonus or something. And we are going to support from everywhere. We're going to attack from Picardy. We got support here, support here. I think all that support is fully valued. I have to find combat. There's combat. Nothing should be halved for us. So, firepower. The main attack and defense do not count support. Okay, so this is going to be the main attack. I'm at essentially -2 for the French with that. I get a +1 for the elite corps. Has to be in the main attack defense force, it is. Nobody's at low stability. It's not a difficult connection. They're not only reduced armies. Okay. Now support. Adjacent to either force. Okay. So I can only commit one support from here. So I was at -1. That puts me to +1, +2, +3. However, the Dutch get to knock in there, so it's +1 for French, I think. And that's the end of the line there, right? Okay. The French get a +1. Both sides take an additional loss. Both sides are going to take 2 hits. The attacker takes theirs. It has to be a unit on the main attack defense force. Okay. French take a hit here. The elite corps is not hit by this because I wasn't destroyed. And then I take a hit on another unit. I'll take it on here. I do have a reserve, but it's not a very big one. The English have to take a loss, and they'll take I don't know. They'll take a loss on the Dutch unit here as well. They're allowed to do that because all the English units have been reduced. That puts me on the Germans. The Germans are going to do a naval move without a navy. And that allows me, I want the reserve army in there, to shift that army and its EC that moves with it into the North Atlantic and then down. The Brits are protecting me, so the French do not want to intercept. Which means we're back to the English. They're going to pass. We're forcing the French to take the offensive here. So the French get to go. Good luck taking those 2 hexes, or 2 spaces. Doesn't seem likely. I'm going to attack from Champagne now. Actually, I can attack from here with 3 strength points. Yeah, let's attack from there. I have 3 to 3. So we're at base 0. We don't get the elite now. How many supporting armies? 3 to 3. Or how much firepower? It was at even fighting into there. This is 3 points of support. This is 3 points of support. So this time it's at even. Oh, fuck. Forgot about retreats. The English lost their battle here. Hold on. That actually forces the Belgians out. So wait, let's go back with the Germans. The Brits were already in. The Germans are down here. This battle was lost. And so these fell into there, and the main army was allowed to advance. What else was anything else allowed to advance? Let's give the French back their point 2. Maybe it is winnable. The defender retreated. The attacker must advance with at least 1 unit. All other units in the main attack force may also advance. Supporting units cannot. Okay. So this was the situation. Let's go back. The Germans and the Brits both get to go. Now the Germans actually have an army here. Do we want to re-attack? Because this is maximum stacking right now. If the Germans did an attack here, they would be at 2 versus 2, 3, 4. That's not good. Okay, so the Germans, they need to pass because they can't bring their troops in to any value. The Brits need to pass, and now the French get their attack, and I think the French are going to... I don't have this troop. I could move this troop up for 1, and that would improve my chances. The French are going to spend their war budget to move an additional army up into place, into Belgium. And then We go back, and again, it's no better for the British or Germans. So the French are going to attack again. And they are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm at +3 now on the battle table. Yeah. Shouldn't have defended, I guess. But we learned. Ooh, that's a -2. That's going to cause 2 hits to each side because of the double star. Both sides take an extra loss. Well, oh, fuck, no. That extra loss wasn't there. Okay. Which means the French took an extra loss here, and the Dutch took an extra loss. Those would be negated, but still the retreat happened, which was the important thing. But now it's not happening. I just see both sides take 1 loss. I don't see this. That's only if hydraulic recoil is in play. Okay. So is there a retreat? When the attacker wins, the attacker never retreats. Okay, so we each take a loss. The French do not wish to lose an army. I think that would force them to lose their EC too. And now the Brits are going to make the... Actually, I think the Germans are in charge as the primary belligerent here. I don't know. The Belgians are going to take the hit. That was a success. If we can get... if we get the Brits out of there, actually, the Germans are like, hey, Britain, lose your army. Britain doesn't want to lose its army. Okay. If the Brits could get out of there, the Germans could go in and defend against this. They could prevent... Yeah, the Brits have to lose their army. There's no question. Okay, so the Brits lose their first army. Does that do something horrible to me? I forgot about the +1 DRM for that. That would actually make it to a 3 instead of a 2. Which is a 2-to-1. Yeah, I don't want to lose the Brits. I'm sorry. A hit has to be taken, and the French have to take it off here, and I don't know, that may mean that their EC is wiped out too. We're going to have to swap batteries, and I'm going to have to look up ECs. Yeah, the EC is wiped out as well. That puts us on... There was a French attack there. That puts us on the Germans for the next move. Now, the Germans could do like an amphibious assault or something of that nature and like take Picardy. I'm going to move, I hope that's the reserve unit. I'm going to move the reserve unit out into the North Atlantic for a point. Try to grab something. Oh, yeah. Puts it on the Brits. I don't know if joint naval can be used with an amphibious assault. Okay. And when does the fucking war end? Germany is the primary belligerent here. They could agree to a negotiated peace and reduce France's chances of losing Belgium. Like, they could force a peace on the Brits. Now, there was a limit on negotiated peaces. Don't think I can take both can agree to end fighting with one side conceding one treaty option. If players agreed on a specific, can't force another player. Yeah, so I couldn't force the Brits to give up Belgium. And the Brits don't want the negotiated peace. Ugh. So, where are we? The German fleet is out. Oh, we were joint naval action, but I actually don't know if I'm allowed to do that. I think that may be only a Great War option. And that battery is done. But it's not going to help because that German unit has to do an amphibious assault. But I think the fleets that are out there, the British fleets, could participate in the amphibious assault. Not that it really matters. So where am I? I'm on the German turn. See, I only have one budget left. I'm going to do an amphibious assault into Picardy. This can support the Netherlands because I'm adjacent to Belgium. Maybe. It can't if the French attack from there, so it's not going to make a difference. But it does occupy a location which I believe gets me a victory. The French have only one war point left. They're going to have to be careful because they will lose the war if they don't achieve their war aims and if that's there, I think. Which means they're losing this war no matter what. Look, the French had an advantage attacking here, and they failed. So, they had the advantage in the war overall. It probably was still a bad idea for Britain and Germany to defend. But anyway, that gets us over to the British turn. I can't think of a damn thing the Brits can do. Well, we could try to pick this off. I think this is only halved if that's the case. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I think I get one extra. I don't want to make that attack. That'll just weaken me. So I think the Brits hold off. That puts it on the French. And now we have to look at the war victory situation and see what happens. So the attacker has to achieve their war aims. And they get a victory. If the attacker doesn't get their war aims, and the defending side either occupies a space controlled by the attacker at the start of the war, or is blockading the attacker, which I think they are, the defender will get an advantage out of this. So the French have to take Belgium. This is a high-risk attack, but the Entente might win. So I've got 2, 4, 5 to 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 0 because the British Army bonus. Now remember, the attacker has a benefit. They win ties. But I get a +4 instead, which means I caused 2 losses and a decisive victory. I don't remember what a decisive victory means. I think it's like a morale loss, a stability loss. It's not on here, but I think it's in here. No. I don't remember what decisive victory means. Losses on the Brits and the Belgians. The Germans are the primary belligerents, so I guess they get to decide it. It's also their home country with the Dutch. Differential of 4 or more. Triggers a decisive. The attacker wins a decisive. Their units can be advanced. They can take another land battle or move 1 additional space. Neither of those things really matters. I've achieved both my war aims. The French have won their battle, their war. Whew. This did not happen. I achieved my war aims, but there was no reason for me to go for 2 war aims, except that if nobody supported it, I don't know. I think I could have gotten both. I'm really not sure. I achieved the war aims. In order to achieve, I must control all but not some. Yeah, I don't know why I attacked 2 things. I'm only getting 1 victory. Why would you pick 2 things? Ever, if that's the case. Gain control of or liberate the targeted spaces. Okay, so the French have seized both Belgium and the Netherlands. Now they can come back into play, and this is the thing, I'm not sure Bavaria ever can. It's incorporated into Austria as home country. Just like if it was incorporated into Germany, it stops having the option to become a minor. But Belgium and the Netherlands can become minors again. Guess the Congo is not going to be Belgian. And France has just seized control of both of them. That destroys the Dutch army. We get back to some kind of repatriation of forces. But boy, that was kind of painful. France gains a point of stability for winning the war. This card are gone. The Turks did not join. It really was stupid for the Turks to join. But it really wasn't too helpful for the Brits and Germans to try to defend this. Added 2 territorial keys to the French total. Their manpower is not going up yet. They use their war budget. Everybody's war budget is gone. You don't get a refund if you didn't use it. Cards have been discarded, and we're at truces. All players exchange truces. These will be 2-turn truces. I'll get those. Players blockaded if they can't trace a line of communication from their capital to any naval box except the Baltic. Okay, so this is why the English wanted to move a fleet down there. I probably wanted to do that. If the player's blockaded, let's say I did that, we're going to get a -1 card marker, because there was nothing the French could reasonably do against this. So the French are going to get a -1 card marker, because this extra British fleet would have been here. I would have sent it down there. I'm just not, not paying attention to everything. So that's the blockade effect. Remove all reserve units from the map and put them in their reserve army holding box. I think only the Germans had a reserve army on the board. Displace units in enemy-controlled territory. And then everybody gets a free redeployment followed by a free naval movement, the winning side going first. This allows them to move all their units, not just those that participated in the war. This thing has to move by naval movement. I don't know what the French are going to do. That's the end of the war. I need to pause. I really need to pause. So I'm going to put a couple of dice here because it's the Austrians' turn in the first impulse around. I usually try to get all the way around, but I got worries that there's going to be another war. And the war aims go away. France has just gained the Low Countries. And with this showing, nobody's thrilled about this. That's 2 of their 4. They get an alliance with Piedmont. That brings it to 3. And they're in pretty strong position. They at least, that sets them up for 2 victory points observed. But they have real advantages in trying to pursue this. This was an ugly situation. And Germany sees the weakness of their position because they can't move through to get to Westphalia. Gonna have to do something about that. World tensions went up. Yeah. Back up to do these last 3 cards in one round around. But boy, Napoleon III must be tickled pinko at this point. And I'm wondering why I have a fort here. Yeah. I think that probably should have degenerated last turn. I just couldn't see it, is I think what happened. I built that, so I don't know for sure, but I don't think that was actually there. It didn't involve itself in the war at all, so it's not a big deal. I don't remember what I was going to say. All right, let's take a look at what the Austrians are up to. They owe the English something. A bit of weirdness here with the Russians. So, first of all, I forgot to grab their home card. I went with God Save the Tsar. I don't know. I don't feel like I was planning on attacking Turkey. I don't know where Europe is part of my problem. What would this do? Possible gain an alliance with a minor power in the Balkans, with which you have a diplomacy, then declare war on the Ottomans using the CP. If a liberation war aim is chosen, the card can liberate Balkan nationalities that are not currently in rebellion. Oh, gosh. Like, I feel like they might have chosen this because I've got my whole army. But anyway, I'm looking at this papal influence card. This does not have a black mark, but does have a conditional removal. I don't know. See, what did I know already? I knew that the Germans are going for unification. I don't know what Turkey's going for. I don't know anything else. I'm going to make it random which card I picked. Odd the one that I grabbed even otherwise. Okay, so we've got that in hand. I don't know that I want to play it, but I do have... I'm actually not allowed to attack them. So we will not take that. We knew we weren't allowed to attack them. Okay, fair enough. Looking for some opportunity, so I played my auto-industrialization with the crappy little 1-point card I got. Like I just didn't look at the Russians at all. Like I jumped from the Austrians down to the Turks because this card would have triggered me making diplomatic overtures to France. I don't think anything would have happened with it, but maybe. We're going to finish up that cycle. I'm really sleepy, actually. Played the American Civil War. That triggers that. We already talked about it. I put the CSA marker in this there to try to remind me to resolve that or to pay attention to it at least. And I needed to do a redeployment. That's one of the problems that I had with these wars. I think I could have maybe deployed my German units there. I'm not sure. Let me see how that's defined. Fuck. Move all land units an unlimited distance by land. I don't know. That doesn't answer my question. Basically, whether I could have moved the German units into Westphalia had I known what was going on. But I didn't. But in terms of the Turks, look, I'm allowed to move one space with a CP. I have my jihad in hand. I want to go take Egypt. I'm going to have to attack it, and that's going to take some effort. Anyhow, we're done with the cycle around, and I think, done for the night. I did not get a lot of sleep, and I think it would be a good idea. Like, I want to get up tomorrow to be able to go shopping or do something. I ran into a question somebody brought up, or a comment somebody brought up saying, hey, naval units don't have to land in ports. That's right. I looked at the errata. Land units moving by naval movement have to land in ports. This means you can't really gather your forces together for a naval landing as well as maybe you could otherwise at the end of the impulse, which means you could actually set them up and then go to war or something, but you really don't want to do that because you want to play the go to war card, for its full value. As we saw, you might need all your wartime points. Got to put these away somewhere. I can just put them with their nations. But anyway, yeah, I've ended up sleeping or failing to sleep for about 3 hours just trying to. I might have dozed off for 15 minutes or so. And at least 3 hours, maybe longer, maybe 4. I don't know. So I'm going to play a little bit more. I've eaten a breakfast. Somehow, you know, it's dark out, can't sleep. No matter how hard I fucking try. The best I can, like, I tried to avoid, I was very tired. I tried to avoid a nap starting around 7 or 8. And even at 9, I was like, yeah, so I waited till 11. Yeah, but now it's too dark. It's not daytime anymore. Can't sleep when it's not daytime. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. So I'm going to try to go through another set of cards. I expect these are going to be ugly too, because other people want to do things. He's feeling pained for being called into and losing a war. But more importantly, I have Otto von Bismarck, which I kind of need to play. However, what I'd like to do is get a minor ally out of Saxony that's an important secondary power with an extra army to allow me, because I'm going to have to go to war with Austria here. And I should have a truce. I forgot to put the truces out. Back to this, as long as a war of unification, which now I have to look up too, is giving me, it allows me to do it without paying stability or anything like that. I don't really care about the WTT. I'm okay. I'm assuming it does, but I can't be sure, so let's take a quick look. Only Germany can declare unification. Austria can declare them, targeting nationalities with full citizenship. Doesn't look like that's going to cost me the WTT. It doesn't raise directly. Yeah, it looks like that's safe. So I can get away with playing this powder keg. Now, here's the problem. I'm going to have to use all my cards, but that's life. I'll play this powder keg, and I got to read this. It is mandatory. Increase the WTT by 1. Place 2 rebels in Ottoman-controlled spaces in the Balkans. Increase the WTT by 1. Choose an independent Balkan minor. That power gains an army. It will then look for a player ally using the minor alliance table, even if it already has an alliance. So this is interesting. 1, I could pick on the Ottomans and take away some rebels, which I might want to do. They've just moved their army out of the Balkans, right? But also, instead, I can't do Istanbul. Yeah, no shit. Instead, I could give an army to the only independent, which is Romania, who probably joins the Russians. It's not interested in me. So I think, you know, if I could get like Romania as an ally invading Austria from the south, that would be awesome. That's not going to happen. My only ally right now are the English. So we're going to do this one with 2 rebel armies in Ottoman-controlled spaces in the Balkans. Must be placed in 2 different spaces unless turn 5 or later. Place a 0 War of Independence marker in each space. And then I get the 2 points. The 2 point... Oh, shit. 2 doesn't do it. Fuck. I need an alliance. That was my whole goal to this. Well, gosh, I don't know. And here's the problem. I'm too small. I have this manpower of 2 here. Austria is too big for me to take on. And they've allied with all of Germany. They have locked me out. Germany is fucked. Like, probably anyway? Oh, geez. I don't know what I'm going to do with my Germans. I feel completely handcuffed. And that French war didn't really hurt me, except that I had to play a card. But I don't know what to do. Delayed gratification. I'm going to use Bismarck to buy an alliance with Saxony. No. Can't do that. That's an influence. What the hell? That can't be there. There can't be an influence there. That had to be a diplomacy. But because the diplomacies were with the French. I will buy an alliance with Saxony. And that means this turn I can't do it yet. And I'll be using eventually the important secondary power. I may just do that the next time around to make sure that nobody can screw with me. The Brits, their most important thing is to finish the sepoys off. Now, something I didn't realize, I've got this expeditionary force. It can support, even though it's over here in Baluchistan doing icky stuff. So, I don't know what this counts as. It's not declare war. I don't think it's pacification. I'm looking. I don't know. Is it? Yeah, I don't think it's pacification. It's land battle. Launch an attack on rebels. That only cost me 1 CP. Can I do that more than once? I don't know. This is one of the real issues. Is there's enough special rules. There's enough cases where it's like you can do this once. Now I get a bonus for pacification, but I don't think I get a bonus against shooting that thing. And I'm like not going to look for it, but I'm looking for this rule, and I can't find it now. It's land battle. It's after declare war. Somewhere. Declare war. Where's land battle? Land battle's not here. There it is. Doesn't say I can only do it once there. I'm guessing I could attack multiple times. So, I don't know what we're going to play. There's no real... This is a powerful card. I could give this to someone, but it's useful. These I need, but maybe not this one. No, that's the one I need. This one I got for free. This one I may want. All right, we're going to try to beat the rebels just with one shot then, with this card. I don't know because this one, but I could hold it or use it for industrialization or something. What is this? +1 DRM end roll. That is because I have the power projection. My industrialization is improved. That's hard to remember. So I have 2 4 strength points. These actually count as 2 against this, versus 2. So I'm at +2 on the combat table. That's not too bad. I get a +4. Which wins me a decisive victory. I don't get anything particularly special about that. I don't remember. Oh, fuck. I'm not sure. Is it only in wartime that I get to do something else, or will I get to to resolve this. But anyway, I have cleared the War of Independence. Some battle advantage is still there. I could move a space or whatever. The question is, if I move these Indians into Baluchistan, does that give me an advantage in doing the other thing that sounds like fighting pacification? Okay. Players must have a land unit to pacify. I don't think additional troops help me. I'm looking to see if I have anything. Okay. So I'd rather leave my troops in India. And that'll put me on the French. With things like reaction cards and combat cards, I could have thrown ironclads into that naval battle that I had. Didn't do it. I don't know if I needed to or not, but it sucks that I didn't. Also, yeah, I'm able to build that back. I have the Sepoy Mutiny. I want to play that, but I think I could be more annoying to the Brits by playing it later. But I'm also worried about what else might happen to me. I think I'll delay one turn on that, and I will use the National Railroad to industrialize, which actually is an automatic. I'll put it here just to remind me that it's not just a +3. Look what the Russians got. Lots of boats. Going to play the dual monarchy. Remember, I shifted things because this gives automatic citizenship to the Hungarians. Full citizenship. The Austrian Empire becomes Austro-Hungarian. Austrian gains stability. The Hungarians gain full citizenship. Add to the Austrian player's hand as an extra card. This has a get rid of without saying anything about it. Did this other one too? See, I'm really disturbed because some of these cards have one there. Yeah, this one did too. Okay. Some of them have it there and it appears to be conditional and I don't know what's going on. But that's just a good card that I want to play if no one played it for that effect. And I don't know why they would. Have I done everything I'm supposed to? I think so. Stupid God Save the Tsar. I don't have any troops I can build. I'm not convinced that forts are worth building because they have to be maintained. So instead, I'm going to gain a stability and attempt to build the Trans-Siberian Railroad. I don't actually need that 6th stability. I'm interested in European keys. What was I going to do? Violent. What violent thing was I going to do? See, I'm kind of waiting for shit to boil over so I can go to war with Turkey. There was a reason I did not take this. Ah, yes. I'm opposed to Turkey, or I'm allied with Turkey, yeah. Okay, so we'll try the Trans-Siberian Railroad, what the hell. We need a 1 or 2 this turn. Okay. We don't get it. Terrible. We got a stability. Turkey's going to start a war with a jihad. Declare war against a power that controls an Ottoman home space or Russia using this card's CP value. Declaring war on a Russian minor power ally counts as declaring war on Russia. Do not increase the WTT or increase or decrease your stability. Gain 2 jihad markers. I gave myself those. Gain a stability if you win the war. I'm declaring war on Egypt. Does anybody care? UK and France have first shot at this, then the Ottomans. Nobody's actually allied with them. Oh boy. What is Europe? It's a big question, because if Egypt is part of Europe, I don't think it is. But we got to look that up. It's part of the main map, but I don't think it's part of Europe. But I also don't think it's part of Africa. Places in Europe, North Africa, and most of the Middle East are considered part of the main map. Then there's a Europe clarification. All Russian home spaces in the Caucasus are in Europe. All Balkan spaces are also in Europe. I think it's clear enough that North Africa is not. But yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, I'm assuming Anatolian spaces are not. Because Caucasus and Balkans are being called out especially. I wouldn't think of those as part of Europe, but you know. Oh, here we go. Europe, main map. Asia, main map. Africa, main map. Other part of Africa, main map. Gotcha. Well then. I'm not sure what counts as Africa. Let's look at Africa. Morocco, Algeria, Tunis, Tripoli, Benghazi, the Great Sand Sea, Egypt, and all spaces on Africa subset are in Africa. Okay. This is important because Turkey will actually have 3 keys in Africa. Looks like Palestine's part of it too. 4 keys in Africa, which puts them very close to grabbing another big one. Unable to oppose the Ottomans here, and I don't know about England. I can't pick these up. It takes two hands. Here on the paper, oh, this is just impossible. You kind of have to grab cards and slip them under the card in order to pry them up so you can pick them up. But I can do nastiness to them. I have the balance of power. Play when another player declares a war. Cannot be played in response to Otto von Bismarck. Gain a stability. If the defender agrees, you become the primary belligerent, and you enter the war on the defending side. Use the card CP for your CP war budget. If you enter a war, draw a card at the end of the war. One player that you invited and that joined also draws a card at the end of the war. Additionally, if intervening to help the Ottomans, I am not. If the defender agrees, see, I'm not sure I can use the balance of power card except with a player, but I'm not sure I can't. Egypt obviously would agree. We look for it here, and we don't see it there. So now we have to go to the special rules sections on the nations. Again, you know, we went through all this before, right? But we got to do it all over again. UK manpower and armies, India, Indian fort. I'm not seeing the balance of power here. Well, that means there's one more chance. And I have absolutely no hope that it's in here. Yeah, I mean, the card will be in here. It will not tell me anything fucking useful. Mechanically, this card allows the UK to get involved in continental affairs and assure no player gets too... Yeah, that's not helpful. Most new players avoid this card because they don't want to antagonize, but a good UK player can use this to check the ambitions of other players. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I can get involved in the war either way, but the question is, oh, that's not the card that I have. That's confusing to me. If the defender agrees, you become the primary belligerent, which I would become anyway. Enter on the defending. Special. Play when another player declares war cannot be played in response. You know what? I think that restriction is simple enough. Ottomans declared war. I am going to balance of power them. And the English are going to get themselves involved. They get a 3... Oh, wait, I don't have an English army anymore. Oh, fuck. You know what I do have? I have an Indian army. And I have the Indian Ocean, but I can't land there. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. That's a long sail. I don't have any allies. I may just be too weak to do this. And the French can't do it because they're aligned. I could blockade, but that doesn't really help. Expeditionary forces aren't going to help. I am going to pass on that and let the Ottomans take the war budget. I'm just going to put their war budget over here because we don't have any initiative. They're the only players involved. And now we look for their war effects. And the card itself actually gave me enough information. War actions. It's going to cost me 1 to move into here. And it's going to cost me 1 to attack. Effort to put the war aim down there. And Egypt has a 2-point army. I have a 2, 4, 5. So I'm at +3. I could jihad. Make it +4. Why? Because I don't know, this gives me a nice defense against somebody else coming in later. Screw it. I've spent 2 of those 3. I should be able to do it in 2 turns. What did I say? I was +3, that's a 5. That means I am at +2 on the combat table. We each lose 1. That's fine. Could have actually brought reserves in instead. I don't know if they're allowed to retreat. But they are defeated. And they're not allowed to do anything, so I'm going to be occupying the war aim at the end of this. And that's going to be a successful war. The war, so I get a stability. I take this, so I get an Arab key. Egypt is gone. I don't know where to put all these countries that are disappearing. I don't know how I'm going to find countries is actually what the issue is. And all these independent major powers. Remember, the Sansi and Sinai are automatically controlled by Egypt. And now I got to find where these go. And I don't know where that is. There it is. Okay. Okay. Now I look at the post-war stuff that happens. And I get to like reposition and stuff like that. We don't have a truce because nobody went to war with us. We demobilized, we didn't have any reserves. We didn't blockade. We do get some kind of automatic, we get a free redeployment action, which I'm gonna put my units back up where they were. But yeah, I don't know where to put things. Put somebody in Istanbul. Actually, could have moved all these by a space or something. We want to be in Bulgaria here. Do we want to have another army with the Russians? I don't know. Why don't we keep this in Egypt? It's as good a place as any. Is that my Arab army? I don't know. Yeah, that's my Arab army. Sure, he'll be there. Why not? Seems as good a place as Palestine. And that got me around another time. Okay, the dice never moved from there. I'm pausing for now. Battery's almost dead. But yeah, so what happened this time around? The English cleared up their problem, and the Turks managed to capture Egypt because everybody was too worn out to deal with them. France has the Low Countries. How about that? I forgot about that. But on top of that, I was looking at the Africa keys. They were kind of worrying me because I saw here minimum of 5, but it's the most keys. Most of these are like, if you want Italy, it's 4 keys. That's almost all of Italy. If you want China and Japan, that's 3 keys. Now, how much? I don't know. 3 seems like not enough. I don't know what to say about that because there's 7 there. But like Germany, it's 8 keys. That's almost all of Germany. The Balkans is, again, the most keys. Central Europe's 3 keys. That gives you, I believe, the majority of the Polish spaces. There are only 5. I don't know what to do about some of these. Like, this feels like it should be the most keys, just like the African one is. Because it would be conceivable for someone to have 3 keys, I think, in China. Maybe there's some rule that prevents this. Oh, this isn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 keys is now half of them. That's still not good enough, by my take. Queen China and Japan. Because Indochina does not count, even though it's Chinese national. It doesn't count. Japan isn't Chinese national, but it does count. I'm really not sure about that one. That one looks like maybe 2 people would have it and they both couldn't have it, or something along that line. It seems highly unlikely. Great Game is fine. Caucasus is 5 spaces. Good luck. Otherwise, oh wow, some of these are not keys. They're just spaces. What is China? Is China something different? China is keys. No, they're all keys. Fuck, I don't know. Suez Canal, it hasn't been activated yet. I don't know if the Turks can hold it. Like, if it is activated, but we don't know. I don't know why all these victory point markers are here in terms of, like, I don't know if you can. Who's this? That's the Ottomans. Why are they at 0? Don't they have a fleet? Apparently not. Interesting. Dawn is beginning to break, and I probably could get some sleep now. I convinced myself to come up and do another round of cards. particularly make sense for the Germans to play the important secondary power if the alliance can be taken away from me. So I guess I'll hold that card, and I'll play my necessary powder keg. And again, we're going to fuck with the Turks, of course. And I screwed up. My movements into Southwest Africa and Baluchistan were illegal. I'm just seeing that now. Because this is the expeditionary force, must have influence or control to move the thing in there. I don't know what to do to fix this. If the English have like a 2-point card, maybe they can burn it to make up for the loss. They have this foreign investment. I kind of wanted to play this, but I'm just going to burn this. I think that makes up for it and drop a couple. I couldn't have put 2 influence down last turn. I couldn't have done what I did, but I'm trying to make up for the problem that I see. I'm trying to decide what to do with the 2-point German the 2-point German powder keg. And, you know, I don't know. I don't know why I ended up in this position. I'm sure the rules support what I'm seeing here. You know what? Over here, it says must have influence or control. This says it sends you to a friendly controlled or uncontrolled space with an influence marker. Okay, yeah, okay. The wording here was less easy to read, you know, when it comes down to it, than what's in the chart form. I don't know what to do with the German powder keg card. I dropped a Serbian and Bosnian Herzegovinian. I have to play this. I don't know what I'm going to do with the points. I could build army, but that doesn't really help me. I could build a fort, which I then could keep. I guess I could build myself a squadron, you know. Or I could play with diplomacy. Now, what diplomacy would I want? I got a problem, which is that Austria first of all, Austria is powerful. That's the biggest problem I got. The other problem I have is that I would be pushing them into the bigger alliance, which isn't optimal by any means. It is possible to do that. They can't go there on their own, so they can't go to war against me. But I don't know what to do with my Germans. They just feel so stripped at this point. And now, influences, the reason I couldn't place the influence here and here was in the first turn, you're only allowed to do 1 per impulse. I could have maybe jiggled things around, so we're just going to pretend that burning that card was good enough. It might have been allowable. But I don't know what to do with my German points. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove a diplomacy from Piedmont. And I'm going to place a diplomacy there. That's kind of nice because they're on both the Austrian and the French border. And I'm really worried about both powers, to be honest, at this point. But, yeah, I'm not thrilled. I got to keep in mind that the Brits and the French might want to play in the American Civil War. Got to take a look at this. Each diplomacy marker and naval unit puts a plus on the southern space. If the CSA gains independence, the player with the most counters in the south gains a permanent alliance. This alliance also increases that player's colonial keys by 1. That's not necessarily that big a deal, but it could be. Feels like it should be, but I don't know if it really is. And the problem is you get the -1 card. I don't know. English play the sun never steps. That gets, or sleeps, sets, or whatever. That gets my India stable again. Up to 2 CP to build army steps. And I get the fort as well, which will not degrade. We built another full army there. I'll worry about EFs later if I want to, but right now building the army seems like a good idea. I don't know, because I get the army, I get the step in the end phase, the militarism. But I'm allowed to have 3 steps of armies, or 3 different armies there. I already have 2. I can build a 3rd one, I guess. And, gosh, I don't know what else. That's the English. It's on to the French. The French, I think, are going to fuck with India again. Notice this little black square before. I guess the Sepoy Mutiny is only a singular event. We'll draw another card for the French. They thought they had something. They have Italy. Would have really planned for this. If Italy's not unified, roll on the Italian minor power table. Okay, well, we'll do that. I don't know what to do with my 2 points. I also can't do it one-handed. I spent my 2 points. I spent 1 to send the colonial army into the Slavs into West Africa. And I built a naval squadron, which increases me to this and gets rid of the Russian marker for power projection, for whatever that matters. Because now we have 2 ship units. And now we do the Italy table. This one does get to get rolled again and again. Nobody dominates the Italian flashpoint. Get a 3. Italian state petitions for aid. If Sardinia, Piedmont, or kingdom is allied with a player that controls an Italian unification space, that's not the case. Place a +1 card marker on the Italian unification if it's not already there. After a player wins an Italian War of Unification, they gain that marker. Okay. We look for a +1 card. There's one. Put that there. I don't know how I do. So I take something like the Caroline Islands, New Guinea, Aden, Oman, anything like that. Got no idea. I'm not sure if I can influence and get in there or what. I just don't know. Spaces. Triangle spaces. These are all ports and can only be entered by naval units and expeditionary forces. Okay. I do not see anything that talks about them. The game utilizes these different systems based on the different types of things that are so significantly different. I don't even know where to look for this. Can I play an influence in it? I think maybe I can. It's not that kind of influence, it's a different kind of influence. It's not remove, it's place. Where is that? It's not here. Where's place? There it is. And that's not helpful. All right, let me look some more. We have different kinds of things that are listed here. So these are territories, not spaces. Everything is spaces, I guess. Because this is an AU home space. Okay. Map spaces, there are 5 kinds. Yes, naval boxes are spaces. So if it says I can do the territorial, and we got to find the rule on that, which I should be in the right place, right? Yeah. Place influence. They can only be placed in uncontrolled spaces. So I think I could actually grab one of those. And that would be helpful towards gaining power if I were to grab one. Everything over here is the Indian Ocean? That doesn't make sense. See, I got this Pacific Sea. I'm guessing there's a line somewhere. Blue is the Indian, green is the Pacific. So yeah, I could grab something like the Carolines, and that would be useful. But I would have to dispatch a force there afterwards. So what am I doing? I don't know. I'm on Russia. I was going to play this stupid papal influence, I think. I've got the Eastern Orthodoxy, which is very useful to hold on to. I've got nationalism, which could gain me a stability, but I don't need it. I could screw with someone else for a stability, which might be useful if I was going to war with them or something. But I'm probably going to play that for something. So what if, trying to think what I might want to do, what if I play a Russian influence? Oh wait, I've got an EF I'm dealing with over here. That's trying to pacify a space of mine. I don't know how big a deal that is. How much of the Caucasus do I need? 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I gain control of the Caucasus if I fix that. That's cool. So I definitely want to do that. I guess I'll play the nationalism card so I can do three points of stuff. That way I can put this down in the Carolines. These both go to the same things. I don't know what this is. South and Central Pacific. Okay. I'll ship this over here, which gives me a pacification marker there. But I will work on the more important, I think, pacification over here, which what are you? You're not naval. Okay. So 2 dice at +1. Or no, not at plus nothing. Right? Oh, it's actually specially ruled there because these are so small, they get a 2-point pacification on them to begin with. Okay. But this is the one I'm more interested in right now. And I'm looking and trying to see. I roll 2 dice, add the value of the pacification. I got no pacification. I don't get it. It goes up to a 1. Ah, it was a 1. It goes up to a 2. And I could have, I could have gone for the port instead, but this is more valuable because the Caucasus is worth more points, and I didn't realize how close I was to it. All right, one last thing is the Ottomans. Oh, what do they want to do? Yeah, Dawn is here. It's okay. Flank attack. I think this thing means I get to draw a card if I play it for its combat ability. And get myself an influence in the Sudan, which would get me to the 5th. If I get control of that, that'll get me to the 5th space in Africa. I'm allowed to be in 1 space in Africa, so yeah. And that, I hope I did everything right with this card. That puts me back to the Germans. We're going to pause here. I'm getting battered around by this one now. I felt like I was somewhere, and now I'm finding out the shit that I've done wrong already. Funny, I mean, I knew as I was reading these rules, I'm not going to remember all this. I'm not going to be able to play this, the way that I can play things that I'm comfortable with, but it felt like I had gotten over some hump, and I was like, oh, everything's making sense now. And no, it's not. I'm still having to look up a ton of shit just to get things played. Oh, shit. The Turks have problems. Ho, ho, ho. Screw that. What did I spend my points on? I spent it on Sudan. Give me that 1-point card back. I need to create an EF and start dealing with stuff. Or I need to do something else. But I definitely need to deal with these wars of independence, not the expanding shit. That's the other thing. It's like easy to lose track of what the hell's going on the board. I mean, that just happened, and I still can't, keep it in mind. I'm going to do with them, I don't know, I'm going to spend a 2-point card. Not really too worried about the Chinese right now yet. This could be conceivably valuable, but I'm probably not going to hold it. I'm going to play this card for 2 points. 1 point is going to launch an attack. All right? I'm allowed to attack from an adjacent space. Ooh, but that's a problematic thing. I could move in and attack, and then I wouldn't be going across the yucky terrain. I want a decisive victory so that I can attack this other thing. Although I guess I could play another CP and attack the other thing too. I don't know. What does a move let me do? There's naval movement. There's redeployment. There is no simple move. Can I redeploy into these bad guys? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move these 2 armies into there. These aren't supporting each other. I don't have to worry about the difficult terrain. So I've got 2, 4, 5 to 2. That gives me a +3. I'm going to throw the flank attack in for a +4. That'll give me an extra card. I've still got a point left. Did I say +4? I don't know. It's a 10 to a 4. That's 6 or more. I wipe this out. I defeat the War of Independence. That's great. I got a decisive victory, so I get to move again. And because I'm all stacked together, I don't know where these Serbs came from. These are from up here. I wasn't sure which box I'm supposed to take them from. Because I get a free move with the decisive battle, right? I think. I don't know. The attacker wins a decisive battle, they may remove an additional space for free. Okay, so here I get a card for that. More problems. Okay. I get a card from that. I still have a point. I could move in and spend that point to attack. Or I can attack across there. I can spend another point for the influence if I want to. So let's attack across this. What is the modifier for that shit? So I've got 2, 4, 5 to 2. I'm at +3 again. It's the bad terrain, which is a -1. So now I'm at +2. I'm going to throw a jihad in. That puts me at +3 again. I don't need the heavy victory now, although I could. Oh, no, you can only do one. You can't get multiple in a row. That's a 3 on the hit table. Attacker +3. I take a hit, but I win the battle. I don't know if I have to advance. I guess we'll do so. These guys take 2, so they are actually destroyed. But that's okay. And now I have 1 point left, which I will put that influence into the Sudan with that I wanted to do. And I look for the Turks, because I think that is actually useful. Influence, yes, not diplomacy. Took care of everything from here. Now we are actually at the end and on the German turn, and now I'm going away. See, now, here's the thing. It was vaguely pretty. Sometimes it's really impressive, but now it's just like the sky's just not interesting enough. There's not enough. There's got to be a particular level of clouds for the sunrise and sunset to be very pretty. Used to get them all the time in Phoenix, and it's a pretty rare thing here. Daylight's not simple enough. Turns out I couldn't. A couple more attempts at sleep, a couple more failures. So, do another card, I guess. All right, relatively easy. The Charmans pass with their 1 card. The English are going to play the Balance of Power for the secondary event option. Gain a stability, draw a card. Passes. Okay, well that's going to be interesting. It kicks things down the road. I could hold 2 cards, but not when I'm holding a mandate. Failing to do something again. When I moved in here, I forgot to put the 0 in there, which is important because I'm going to try to convert it over. And a couple of 2-point cards. Here's the interesting thing. Do I keep the ironclads with my kind of warlike situation? Or do I hold on to the Paris Commune and keep it out of the deck? I don't think I'm going to win a naval war against anybody particularly. Britain's allied on the other side, so I am going to dump this. There's 2 things I want to do. Probably want to get rid of the German diplomacy in Piedmont. I could actually just drop a diplomacy of my own there. Or I could start working on that second colonial key. I think the diplomacy is a bigger deal. Played the Kaiserreich to give the Italians rights. The Russians played this. They had to do it twice, but succeeded in getting rid of whatever the conquest of Dagestan thing was. That gives them one of these here flashpoints. Turkey's kind of unhappy. I think they have like a flashpoints as a goal, and they felt like they were ahead, but now I'm not so sure. Of course, this is there. Let's finish things off burning this card to create an expeditionary force. That's my only one right now. And setting the 0 down there. English could have held 2 cards, except they have to play the mandatory. I think I've gotten rid of all the other mandatories. They played the Suez Canal as their industry card. Try to improve their industry once more. And that opened up the Suez Canal. That gives another little marker on the flashpoints. It's kind of cool. The half-point ones aren't so great for the game, but like they each count as 1 still. Right. When do we handle the Civil War? Nobody intervened. But the UK and France can place maximum. At the start of the end phase. Perfect. On a 6, the Confederates win. Yay. But it was close. And now we look for, wow, what's all this? Okay. All right. Now we look for the end phase, militarism. All right. Not sure what's going on here. Got these in the wrong places. And I ended up building a colonial that I couldn't build. I'm not going to give myself more points for it. I don't know. You know what I could have done? That was off of Sun Never Sets, right? Up to 2 CP. Okay. I can build an EF. The hell's this? This is an elite. How much does an elite cost? I don't know. Where are ground units costs? I don't know on here. Fuck. Like, we have a list of everything that's here. We don't have a list. Expeditionary. There we go. A new expeditionary force. Yeah, that doesn't help. It says they can only be brought in to play by an event card. That card didn't specify it. So I'll just build a regular expeditionary force, I guess. And I'll put that down. Well, we might as well put it in Bengal. What the hell? Anyway, I don't know. I'm actually probably better off with it here. Okay. That would have cost the same. The Germans built a reserve army. Now, it's on the Brits. They can build a step in militarization. They can't. Like, they're not able to build any more of their regular army. They're not able to build any more colonial army. And they don't have any forts that they have to maintain. This one's free. And the Austrians, I noticed their territorial key should be up at 10, not 9, because of the Bavarian increase. French, I got them, yeah, okay. Germans made their industrialization. That's going to get them up to 4 cards. The English did not. The French, I think, made theirs up to 4 cards. Austrians succeeded in theirs. Not not up to anything. The Russians had an auto, and the Ottomans didn't get to play in that. What's next? Progress truces. Doesn't really feel like it's been that I get 2 full turns, but it's the way it works. The white piece lets you attack in the next turn. You just can't fight again in the same turn is all it's saying. Wars of Independence. I don't think there are any. Wasn't there something bad that was supposed to happen to the English? What the hell happened? Oh, the card had to be discarded the turn it was played. Yeah, the mutiny only happens once. Fair enough. Okay, time to play with the alliances. Alliances are all fully reset. Even the Turks, they managed to shift 2 down. They were at a big +10, and they didn't get hit by that. So nobody's got any alliances anymore. Everything's been reset to where it was. Get rid of these. Although the Austrians and English, well, you can kind of say both the Austrians and Germans and English are all kind of aligned. In fact, everybody's kind of in a position of, hey, we don't like France, and we kind of don't like what Turkey's up to either. Both these countries seem to be gaining a lot. Poor Prussia. I feel like the dreams of unification have faded already. However that happened, some of it may have been some of the cheating. World trade, or world tension, goes back down to 1. This is not an NG turn. And we will be on turn 3. And that is the end of the turn, and we're going to load this one up. Everybody held a card, just one. Okay.